Hello and welcome to the Damp Show with me, Dampsam, Britain's most down-to-earth, straight-talking, qualified surveyor in damp proofing and waterproofing, and top 1% plasterer for the last 40 years. I'm going through these plasterers for beginners and plastering videos. I'm just having a look and I'm putting my 2 pence in. So I'm looking at them, and if there's out that's wrong, I'm going to tell them. This video has had 370 odd thousand views, and it's by Wickes, how to plaster a wall. So I'm tipping that this is going to be good. On with the show, let's get into it.
How to plaster a wall. Although it can look intimidating, with some practice and an organised methodical approach, plastering a wall is a realistic goal for any DIY enthusiast.
It fucking isn't. Right, I'm going to tell you this. If you were going to buy all them materials, mixing stuff, trowels, handboards and all that, just to do a small bit of plastering, I'll tell you where it's all going to end up. It's all going to end up in your cellar or in your garage, and it's going to be covered in cobwebs in a bit. You'll do it once and it'll put you off DIY for life. I'll tell you that now.
Enthusiast. You'll find a full list of tools and materials.
Right, what we got here. So he's going to be doing it with his spray thing. I've seen plasterers use these, and I think you can either use brush or these sprays. I'm not a fan. It's not how I've been taught. But if you've only been taught this way, then fair enough. Mixing tool, but you're going to need a drill for that as well to mix it up with. I think what the tipping is, most people's got a drill, and that fits into drill. But you still have to buy a drill if you haven't. He's got a trestle. Obviously, there's your plaster, and then there's your PPE, scrim. You've all sorts to buy. Absolutely all sorts. They're just showing them, but there's a lot more than that you need.
List of tools and materials you'll need at the end of this video. Thorough preparation is key to achieving a professional finish.
Why is he... That's plasterboard. You shouldn't be having to brush it down. You shouldn't be having to brush plasterboard down unless they've been left for months and months and months and they've just got dust and cobwebs all over them. But if you've just plasterboarded that and them plasterboards have come from Wickes, you shouldn't be having to brush them down. I don't know what he's doing. And what's missing? Anybody know what's missing? If it is dusty, if it has got dust all over plasterboards and he's brushing it down, what's missing? PPE. He's forgot to put his mask on.
Preparation is key to achieving a professional finish, so see our online guide or leaflet for advice on planning and preparation and aftercare. Start by covering the floor and any nearby furniture with protective sheets.
Right. So that stuff that he's putting down there, that's called temporary sheeting. And trust me, if you put that down, first time you walk out of the room and you come back in, you'll trip over that and you'll end up ragging it all up. And then you'll be trying to put it back down. And then when you start dropping stuff and standing in it, it'll just be sticking to the bottom. Your carpet's going to end up a right mess. If you're going to be doing it over a carpet, buy proper carpet protector. So you can get a roll and it'll stick to the carpet. But then don't just leave that down. Try and put some boards over the top, so some hardboard or something, because it's going to end up a right mess. Best bet is to just roll your carpet back if you can.
Sheets. Make sure you've removed all.
Is he at it again? COPD, that lad, when he gets older. COPD, better than 1, 2, 3. Easy as ABC, COPD for me. Yes, lad, be like me, coughing Harry.
Plaster, paper, grease and dust from the surface you plan to plaster.
Well, I'm not being funny. If there's any grease on it, you don't want to be fucking plastering on it, mate. I'll tell you that now.
New plasterboard does not require priming, but if you're working with an existing wall, treat the surface with a primer that is a mix of PVA glue and water. To ensure a smooth, even finish, apply plaster tape to cover all the joints between plasterboard sheets.
Your plaster tape's not for a smooth, even finish. These boards, they look like tapered edge, so they have like a little dip in. The reason you put your self-adhesive scrim on is to stop your plasterboard cracking, because timbers can move.
Once the tape is in place, use a snap-off knife to trim a neat edge. To prepare the plaster mix, start by half filling a bucket with clean tap water. When preparing plaster, you should always add the water first, as it keeps the mixture from becoming lumpy.
This is something that you wouldn't think that people would do. It's just because I just do it automatically, but I can't believe that some people would put the powder in first and then add water to it. But I'd have never thought to tell somebody that, because I just thought, well, you add stuff to water, and that's because it's like a basic thing that people know. It's got to be. Surely you put, I don't know, do you put water in first when you're cooking, or do you put flour in first? You know, if you're having to mix your Yorkshire puds up. Yeah, good advice.
Be sure to check and follow the manufacturer's instructions on the packaging.
Yeah.
Slowly add the plaster powder to the water. It's best to make more plaster mixture as and when you need it, instead of making a large quantity at the start.
But be aware, it does go off. And it goes off depending on how thick you've mixed it and the temperature in the room. If it's warm, it's going to go off quicker.
You can either mix the plaster manually or with a power stirrer, but be sure to always follow the manufacturer's instructions. If you do opt for a power stirrer, then make sure it's fully submerged in the mixture before switching on, and use it at a low speed in order to not overwork the mixture. Throughout the mixing process, use a bucket trowel to incorporate any dry plaster from around the edge of the bucket.
That's good technique.
When you've finished mixing, clean tools thoroughly before the plaster has time to set.
See, I've commented on other videos, and this is only one where it's cleaned mixer properly. I know it's a newer one, but all of the videos that I've sort of commented on, they've been full of shit. All this has been full of plaster, and when we've seen them actually skimming walls, you can see all bits of like chipped off hard plaster that's dragging on plasterwork.
If you're going to be plastering a large area, then it's best to pour your plaster onto a spot board. The mix should be thick enough that it's easy to spread, but doesn't run.
And that looks as though it's been well...
Using a plastering trowel,
down.
Cut away a section of mixed plaster and transfer it to the plastering hawk.
That's a brand new plasterboard, by the way. And when you get a brand new plasterboard, if you look at this, it has got these like circles on, which are supposed to help it grip. And if he's damped it down, trust me, they won't help it grip. That's just going to slide straight off as soon as he turns it over. It'll just go to sides and everything. But yeah, that ain't going to hold your plaster on. So best thing to do is when you get when you get a little bit of plaster on like that, just check it with your hand, as if like you're shivering. Just check it, and it'll just slump down a bit. But most plasters and boards have got like a coating, a filmer plaster on, and that helps it to stop it from sliding off when it's steel and it's brand new like this. Best plaster in the world ain't going to stop it from going off. Best thing to do is to kind of get a real little bit and plaster it actually onto handboard when it's as new as that.
Plastering hawk. It's best to only use a small amount to start with.
I'm looking for his handboard. So that's one thing. Let's have a look at his handboard, because I think it's, yeah. You see how it were all full of thing? So if you looked at his handboard, it were just full of plaster all the way round it. There were no new metal, if you know what I mean. So he had smeared it all over. So tell this lad knows what he's doing.
If you're working with plasterboard, start by adding a thin coat over any joints. Then
yes, you can
push a section of the plaster.
A lot of plasters, some plasters would do that in one coat, and what they'd do is they'd fill them joints out first. So you go over your scrim first, a bit like olden days, and then with being a small wall like that, you could, in theory, probably do it in one coat. I mean, I probably wouldn't. I'd mix a bucket up, put one coat on, make sure I'd still got some left, and then just give that a quick knock up once I'd flattened off, and then maybe put a thin coat over the top.
up and onto the wall surface using a plastering trowel and spread from left to right. It's best to press firmly and distribute the plaster as evenly as possible. Use both vertical.
That's a brand new trowel what he's got. So it's a brand new handboard and it's a brand new trowel. They've probably come to film that and they've said, "Oh, we'll bring you a brand new trowel from Wickes and a brand new handboard." So he might struggle a bit later on, you know, because it's new with lines in it, so it might take a bit to get lines out at first go.
Vertical and horizontal movements when spread, dampening the surface with a
see down that edge there, it's all shitted up. At this stage, that shouldn't be on there like that. That should be, you should brush that down. So this wall here goes into there, enter to patch it in. So that should be absolutely spotless down there. And then it should only be some small bits of plaster, if that, because you'd brush that in, and then you'd come across. This is why he's using this, what they call it, this, I don't know what you call it, a sprayer thing. And then his trowel, whereas I'd have a brush, so I'd dip my brush in water, and then I'd be able to brush that out. But if he's only using that sprayer, he can't. This is why I'm really unsure with these sprayers. I don't know. They're not for me.
Dampening the surface with a spray gun as you go. This will smooth the plaster and help to fill any small indentations.
It's killing me that with all that shit on.
To achieve a smooth and level finish, hold the blade so that only one edge is on the plaster.
See, now they've edited it and
then
it's gone
use
over
a small damp brush to smooth corners and edges.
He's doing it now.
Following the manufacturer's instructions, allow to dry further before repeating this smoothing process for the final.
That's because that brush, look at that, how mucky it is down there. That's terrible. That's because that little brush that he's using is no good. He needs like a 4-inch brush, plenty of water on, and then just go over it and just, well, use water to get that out.
Process for the final time. The plaster should be harder than before, but still slightly damp at this stage. Leave to dry completely before painting or applying wallpaper. This may take a couple of weeks, so you'll need to check the manufacturer's instructions. Here is a list of tools you'll need to plaster a wall.
Right. Tools you need to plaster a wall. Bucket trowel, mixing drill and paddle, plastering bucket, snap off knife, protective sheeting for floor. Right, okay. Dustpan and brush. I don't think you need that to plaster wall. Spot board, plastering trowel, plastering handboard, not a fucking hawk. Spray bottle, small paintbrush. What about washing out brush? Surely it's in the next list.
And here are the materials you'll use.
Listen, so they've not told them rate materials.
And this is the recommended safety equipment needed.
Goggles, safety mask, goggles. Yeah, but he didn't wear a mask though, did he? Are we done? So, what I'd say about that video is you need a 4-inch. You need a 4-inch brush, like a paintbrush. You can get a cheap paintbrush. You need one of them. That is essential because you need it for cleaning out, and then also you can use it for on your wall rather than using one of them sprayer things. I think if you're just going to start, in fact, don't bother. It'll cost you a fortune, so don't bother. Get a professional in. Get somebody in that's been doing it a long time, because you're going to make a mess at wall and it's not going to be worth it. It's going to take you too many hours. It's going to take you, cost too much in materials and buying all stuff. It just ain't worth it. You know what I mean? Do a bit of bricklaying instead. That's Dampsam signing off. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Leave some comments in the comments and I'll try and answer them for you. Bye-bye now.